Broadcasting from the basement bunker. This is the fourth hour with Greg Belfrage, and it's great to have you along. The left is melting down. We see it more and more. This is from Fox News. A coffee with a cop event had to be canceled because the shop owner's Christian views attracted backlash from the LGBTQ crowd. And so the suburb actually canceled it. And this is one of the coffee with a cop. You see these all over the country. Sioux Falls police do these, have coffee with a cop events where they go into various different places. And, you're trying to build the relationship with police officers and the communities they serve. And so get folks out there and seeing police then, rather than having police showing up at your door, knocking at the window of your car, seeing police in friendlier settings and building up the relationship then between police and their communities. So this coffee house is owned by Keith Carpenter. He's the head pastor at Epic Life Church. And people were upset. They vowed to hold the protest. One even called for the coffee shop to leave the city, saying that the pastor's views on marriage did not align with the city's ideals. And this is what you see typically from the left, right? This is typical of the left, where your views do not align with ours and you're not welcome here and you need to get out, you need to get gone. And if you own a Tesla, we're going to vandalize your car, your vehicle. We're going to do all. Wow. This is like crazy town, man. This is why I'm always saying bizarro world. This stuff is absolute bizarro world. First of all, the arrogance of these people is what strikes me. Such arrogance. You and I may disagree on things. My approach is, hey, that's all right, man. You're entitled to your own beliefs, whatever they may be. You're entitled to those. I respect that. I may disagree with you. In fact, may disagree passionately with you on some things. That's what makes the country great, right? We can all have our different opinions. No, when it comes, you get into Seattle, you get into these progressive areas, and this is what you find. You either subscribe to their orthodoxy and everything they believe in, or you're out. You're out. They want to get you out. That is just absolutely crazy. And again, when it comes to lifestyle, hey, you make your choice. When it comes to lifestyle, you make your choice. Whatever works for you. This is just absolutely crazy. And so they're upset. A Christian homophobic coffee house. Isn't it interesting that the left, who always decries, stereotyping and all of this, are the first ones to stereotype? They're the first ones to engage in that kind of behavior. The name calling. We're talking about Representative Jasmine Crockett, on the show this morning. This stuff is just crazy. Bigoted, anti-LGBTQIA+. How many more letters are we going to add to that designation? You run out of breath just trying to... This is just absolutely crazy. So they canceled the event. It was neither the department nor the city's intent to make any community member feel unwelcome based on the selection of the event venue. Then you know what my advice would be? Don't hold the events. Then stop holding the events. You are never going to find someplace that's going to appeal to everybody. You just cannot. Take a look at how divided people are in the country right now. You will just be completely unable to find any place that's going to appeal to everyone. So why try? Why try? Go to a variety of different places, and they're picketing what you know. Oh, it just gets absolutely nonsensical. There was another story I wanted to share here regarding judges and the Trump administration. West Coast judges saying the Trump administration must take in refugees and pay for their housing. This is incredible what you see. Trio of federal judges in California, and it's always the same places. We were talking about Seattle a moment ago. Now it's back to California. And they're saying the president needs to welcome these 40,000 refugees approved by Joe Biden and the International Refugee Assistance Project, making the case that we need this continued relief for tens of thousands of refugees. Wow. Wow. And then in another courtroom in Seattle, another federal judge ordered the Trump administration to keep paying the government agencies that settled the refugees in places like Springfield, Ohio. And this just goes on. This just goes on and on and on. Progressive lawsuits, they're saying here, are good news for their allies among the nation's meatpacking companies. Many of the companies rely on progressives to supply them with labor. And that's what you see happening here. So this is why you've got many in business. Unfortunately, I want to be guided by principle in all things. I want to be guided by my principles all the time, in my personal life, in my professional life, in my on-air life, in every opportunity. I want to be guided by my principles. And it's amazing to me how you see the business community they're totally motivated by money. And they want to find labor. And I understand you need people to work. Totally get that. Totally understand that. Can be difficult. Find people to work. I understand. I understand. Difficult to find people to work, but bringing in illegals or people who have what we've seen happening, it's destroying the country, man. It is absolutely destroying the fabric of our country. And I just, again, there are so many things. I've said this to you, I don't know how many times, that I really have never considered myself to be all that bright. I really am not. And I sit there and I see all of these things and I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everybody. I mean, really. So if it's obvious to me and I can see it, why can't so many other people see it? And I think they're blinded by a number of different things, whether it's greed and the prospect of cheap labor or leftist ideology that just absolutely, they can't even consider anybody else's point of view. And I've wondered about this more and more frequently as of late, that you wonder it's a religion, and I talked about, I'm going to have to find the footage of Newt Gingrich on Hannity last week, because Gingrich was talking about this and how all of this, it's a religion for these people. It's a secular religion, but it defines who they are. They can't let go of it any more than I would be able to let go of, my religious beliefs, my belief in Jesus Christ and so on, because for me, that defines who I am, and it defines then my principles. And It determines the way that I'm going to act. And, all of whether you have the left doing the same thing. It's a religion for them. And they are just, unfortunately, the things that they're committed to are, the destruction of your liberty and your freedom and your ability to be able to, host a coffee with a cop event. I mean, that is just absolutely crazy. I've got some other stories here that I want to share with you as well. Oh, the interview that President Donald Trump did with Newsmax last night, because there's some more to this that's worth sharing here as we talk about Elon Musk and Tesla. So the president talking about Musk during this was yesterday on Newsmax. And Trump sat down with Greg Kelly, invited Greg Kelly actually to the White House. And so Trump, talking about Elon Musk, called him a wonderful patriot. And he says he believes billionaire liberals who were behind his criminal trials, Trump's trials, also responsible for some of these attacks on Tesla cars and so on. But then he went on to say, talked about the Department of Government Efficiency. And Elon Musk, he said, basically, he's a patriot. And he said he didn't know Elon Musk very well before the campaign, hardly at all. And he's essentially a patriot. He's a wonderful patriot. He loves the country. And then he goes on to explain why he believes this. Trump said, he's never asked me, think of this. He's got plenty of right to, I guess. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. I probably won't. But he's never asked me for a favor. As an example, I just got rid of the electric car mandate. And he never came to me and said, could you do me a favor? Don't do that. He's a legitimate guy. Yeah, unlike many we see around the country right now. But Trump said he's a legitimate guy. He's doing this because it's for the good of the country. We are finding hundreds of billions of dollars in fraud. And what the president is saying right here, I mean, this is gold. Absolutely right. He's doing this because he believes it's for the good of the country. And you can say the same thing about Donald Trump. That is the same thing I believed about Donald Trump. Even more so, I think, after all of the lawfare that we saw over the course of the last 4 years against Trump and the attempts to put him in prison and shut him up and just absolutely incredible stuff. And there's Trump, he just keeps on. I mean, he's like the Energizer Bunny. Donald Trump is. I think he keeps going and going and going, right? Well, Elon Musk is the same kind of cat, right? He's doing it for love of country. And I think a lot of us see that. I certainly see it. And as I say, the reason I say I think a lot of us see it is because if I see it, well, then I know you do. So if I see it, everybody sees it, or a great number of people see it. Not everybody, unfortunately. But Elon Musk he's a patriot. It's pretty incredible. Also, Carolyn Levitt, let's check out her as we talk about the Atlantic. That's been a big story this week. Jeffrey Goldberg at the Atlantic. Carolyn Levitt, the White House press secretary, we're on her Truth. So, or excuse me, this is her account on X. And she said, Jeffrey Goldberg, well known for his sensationalist spin. Here are the facts about his latest story. No war plans were discussed. No classified material was sent to the thread. The White House counsel's office has provided guidance on a number of different platforms. There are questions right now regarding Signal and as to the use of Signal. So the White House counsel's office then is offering other platforms on which they can communicate then rather than Signal. I don't know that that was the issue. We'll have to wait and see exactly what transpired there, how Goldberg wound up. I still have trouble believing that he just somebody just added his number and really? I really have a difficult time believing that. Of all the numbers out there, and it happened to be his, and it was somebody else who was supposed to, and instead this was the person we thought we were adding, but instead of him, it winds up being Goldberg. Doesn't that seem like, really fishy? Doesn't that stink to you? Certainly does to me. Anyway, she concludes here, thanks to the President Trump, everyone in the group, the Houthi strikes were successful, effective. Terrorists were killed, and that's what matters most to the president. And there are other, I don't know that I'm going to share this. There was also Tim Miller, who's a never Trumper, did an interview with Goldberg of The Atlantic, and he completely dodges the question on why he won't release more of the Signal chat and the whole again. I watched a portion of it, and Goldberg's unresponsiveness says a lot to me, where he's asked a question and then responds. That's not somebody who's immediately forthcoming. You know what I mean? That's a little bit crazy. I really find it hard to believe. So as I think about it, I am not going to share that video. I wanted to end this today with a few things that I think will make you laugh. Well, because the Babylon Bee, and I mentioned it before, the Babylon Bee is terrific at what they do. They've got a couple of stories here that I think are going to crack you up. Here's the security concerns as Donald Trump holds a strategy meeting at Cracker Barrel. Yeah, they got the photo here. President, Vice President Pete Hegseth sitting at the Cracker Barrel. You get into this, I tell you, their writing is just absolutely inspired. Witnesses reported being surprised to find the president, along with J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth, seated at a nearby table discussing secret war plans over their plates of fried chicken, country fried steak, and pecan pancakes. And this goes on. They planned out the potential invasion of China while eating biscuits. Now it gets better. It gets better because there's another piece. Also, this from Babylon Bee. Nobody does it as well as the Babylon Bee. Darth Vader accidentally adds Admiral Akbar to a holochat planning of the Alderaan bombing. Oh, man, you have got to laugh. And there's Governor Tarkin over here, Admiral Akbar, holograms. So they were forced into damage control mode this week after it was revealed Vader had mistakenly added Akbar to a holo chat. Okay, I wanted to share something that I wanted to leave you laughing today. So, and that's a wrap from the bunker. Thanks to the Gallery of Champions. If you made it through the entire video, you're part of the Gallery of Champions. So thank you so much, as always, for being here. We'll leave it there this morning. I'm underground, and I'm gone.